Okay, we are now recording. I'm Shelley Trent. I'm the College Relations Director for KYSHRM, and welcome to everyone. I'll share my slides in a minute, but first I wanted to do introductions, especially since there's not that many of us on the call. And then I'm going to show you all, in case you're not aware of the resources that are available for faculty from SHRM to help you teach. And there's case studies and there's manuals and slides and talking points and all kinds of things on the website. And then we'll have plenty of time for sharing ideas or talking about whatever it is that you all want to talk about. So why don't we start with you, Terry, since you were the first one on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Ray. I'm Professor of Human Resource Management at Murray State.
And Lisa?
Hi, everyone. I am Lisa Kale-Piasecki, Associate Professor at University of Louisville, and I just joined the faculty in August after being on the faculty at a small school, Tiffin University in Ohio.
Welcome. Starla, why don't you go next?
All right. My name is Starla Ivy. I'm an adjunct professor in management and finance at Spalding University. Before that, I spent 13 years at the University of Missouri teaching personal finance.
Oh, nice. Okay. Courtney?
Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney Keim, and I am a professor in the psychology department at Bellarmine University, where we have an HR concentration.
Very good. Elisa?
Hi, I'm Elisa Lambert. I teach at Indiana University Southeast, and I'm a professor of human resource management.
And she's right here on the Kentucky border, so she always participates in our Kentucky stuff.
Yeah, thanks for letting us Indiana folks hop in occasionally. Although I'm originally from Tennessee, so you know.
It's all good. Mike, how about you?
I'm Mike Carroll. I am a Regents Professor of Management and teach HR, labor relations, and negotiation at NKU.
Great. And last but not least, Danielle.
I do exist. I'm like one of those NMs. I do exist. I am Assistant Professor of Management and Business Administration at Kentucky Wesleyan College.
All right, thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys some things that are, here we go. All righty then. So today we're going to talk about an overview, I won't take too terribly long, of the case studies and online resources for faculty that SHRM has available. I don't know if you all are already aware of it, but it's free. You don't have to even be a SHRM member to use it. And, you know, if you go to shrm.org and you hover over learning, you'll see this for educators. And there's the curriculum guidebook and template in case you wanted to align your courses with the SHRM BOK, the body of knowledge. And maybe Elisa, you can tell us more about that in a minute. I know you've done that and U of L has done that as well. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head all the different schools who've done that, but then there's teaching resources. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. I'm going to show you kind of, if you go through the website, if you click teaching resources, you'll see first a page saying that you agree to abide by their rules of use or something like that. And then you'll see this. And at the bottom of this page is where you can access the case study documents and the learning modules that are for semester-long courses. So if you click on the, I think it's case studies I have first, yes. So the case studies, and I wanted to show you this too, because students download the information separate from the teaching section. So and I'll show you that in a minute, but I wanted to show you that you can download what you're going to use to teach, and they can download that same information without the talking points, without the teaching notes and things like that. So they have case studies, in all of these areas of HR. I do want to say also that for me last night when I was trying to click on all of this, I was in Internet Explorer and it wasn't working for me for some reason. So I suggest that if you're going to try to download things, you should use Chrome or something else, because it wasn't working for me in Internet Explorer. When I would try to open a document, it would be a blank document. So I swear it's all there, but you just have to use Chrome. So the case studies by area, I just wanted to show you some of them. So for comp and benefits, they have one on benefits and business at Aflac and LL Bean. They have designing a pay structure. They have collective bargaining in college dorms. I thought that sounded interesting. The Student Collective Bargaining Act, religious discrimination and racial harassment. So they have lots of different case studies that you can use to teach. In strategy, they have a ton of them. So Aetna, investing in diversity, just, going back down the list, IBM, macro enterprises, Nokia, flexibility. So all kinds of things that are available for you to use in class. And again, under training and development, workforce planning, and multiple content areas, again, you can see there's one on performance management, recruitment and selection, recruitment and retention case scenarios. Anyway, you can read all of these. I won't read them to you, but I just want to show you the wide variety of things that are available. But wait, there's more. So do you want more than just case studies? Those are things you can use to teach it. Maybe you already have your sessions set up and you're used to teaching with those and you don't need help. You just need the case studies. But if you're creating a new class or you want to change your class up a little bit, there are learning modules for teaching. And those are provided, as I said, there's no cost for any of this, even if you're not a SHRM member, but it's to help you either supplement a current course, add to your course, or create a new one. And these modules include PowerPoint slides with teaching notes, even syllabi for the different classes, recommended readings, and an instructor's manual. And sometimes they even have, again, we have case studies, but they have exercises, progress checks, and quizzes. Now, I did notice that some of these were kind of older, and I'm going to contact somebody at SHRM. I used to work at SHRM for 17 years, and so I'm going to contact them and say, are these going to be updated? They seem to be sort of universal, that you can use them anytime. But I'm going to ask anyway if, do they check these every year to make sure they're staying up to date? I still think it's okay for you to use them because, again, it's sort of the universal stuff that doesn't have to be changed. Let me see if I can, I don't know if you all can see the bottom there. I didn't realize. I'm going to say hide floating meeting controls so you all can see. And I'm going to send these slide or put them out on the web, and I'll show you the link for where that you can find that in a minute. But since we're recording this, the slides will be posted and the recording will be posted, but you can find this. If you just want to go to shrm.org, you'll find all of this information. Now I need to figure out how to get my controls back up. Hold on a second. Well, it's not showing me. All right, so there are the learning modules for teachers or teaching. Again, use Chrome to download these things. For comp and benefits, they have modules on flexible workplaces, incentives and rewards, employee benefits of a diverse workforce, salary survey project, total rewards. Just like the other ones that we looked at a minute ago, how there are case studies for every one of those areas. There are modules for teaching for every one of those areas as well. I also want to show you where the students access this information. So I have the link over here. It's in the student section of the SHRM website, but they can access the case studies and everything else separate from what you see. So theirs is just the generic case study or the learning modules without the teaching notes. So I'm going to, if I can, let's see, there we go. I'm going to stop sharing for now so we can talk about it. Elisa, if you want to unmute yourself, I know you were involved in creating a lot of the case studies and things, if I'm not mistaken.
Not a lot, one or two.
Okay.
The back in, I guess, 2007, 2008, SHRM's academic initiatives division, I guess, got some sort of funding, and they actually gave us stipends to write different cases, and they were all blind peer reviewed and all that kind of stuff. I would agree with you that I don't know when they updated that information last, but I've used a number of the resources there. The Why We Hate HR, I use that in my grad HR class. And even though it is a little dated, it's still very valuable. And I think it, particularly for grad students, kind of sets the tone in highlighting even today, what are some of the major issues for a lot of organizations in HR? You know, the myth that we sign birthday cards and plan parties. So it just kind of puts it all out there from day one. So I've used that one for a number of years in my grad level courses. And then some of the other cases I've used in my intro and even in my selection class and performance management class. So there's a lot of good resources. You kind of have to you know, obviously pick and choose what you think works best for your teaching style and your students' needs. But I think the resources are really great. The student manuals, there's a one that I've used for years in the selection class. I forgot what it's called, but it basically mirrors a particular chapter in my textbook that talks about the different methods of hiring, stacking your selection system. So if you have a weighted system, if you have a multiple hurdle system, and it gives them basically the same 4 applicants, and they use those different systems to see how different people bubble to the top based on how they stack the selection measures. If they use the multiple hurdle, if they use the weighted method, and so they evaluate those, they create scales and how they're going to evaluate each employee or potential applicant. And then they see that in one method, maybe Stephen floats to the top, and in the other method, Samantha floats to the top. So then it leads to a really good discussion on the importance of how you stack your measures and how you use your measures and all that kind of stuff. So I've used that one for years, and it's I think it's aged very well.
Good. Yeah, I was thinking as I looked at everything, reviewing it last night, that it did seem to be sort of, I can't think of the word, it's not universal, but you know, evergreen, I guess.
Stood the test of time.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Does anybody else already use the SHRM resources in teaching? Would you all care to share? Okay.
Yeah. Particularly in the labor relations class I teach, the bargaining in college dorms, I use that every time because it's a natural draw for the audience that you've got. Kind of makes it a little real for them. So I use that one all the time. When I'm trying to prepare groups to do case competitions, those multiple content cases are exactly what you need. So, you know, that I just go to that and start pulling them out and copying. So I was glad to hear from Melissa about the selection module, because I'm going to take a look at that. I look for some extra stuff to go along in the selection class. So I'm going to go take a look at that one.
Yeah, and I can find the title for you. I just have to pull my resources up here.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Shelley,
Lisa, yeah, go ahead.
I've used the Southwood School case study in my a graduate training and development course that I teach in an MBA program, or that I used to teach.
Very good. Anybody else already used the case studies or the learning tools? No? Is this news to you then? Yeah. Well, I hope that this will help you all. What other, I mean, since this was the topic of the conversation, I don't want to say we're finished at 20 after 10. What other resources do you all use to teach that you would like to share with each other than SHRM? Nothing? What about Danielle, Starla, and Mike? What do you all use? And Courtney, since you all didn't use SHRM information. Just make up your own case studies.
We don't have an HR major. There's just one class. So I pretty much use the case studies that come along with the textbook. And this is undergraduate, and the students that are taking this class aren't even majoring in HR. So I'm trying to get them to concentrate on it much. But next semester, what I wanted to do was see what was available, because next semester I've revamped it to where I'm going to have some honor students in this class. So I need to have something a little bit extra for them. So I was looking at seeing what this offered.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I mean, Shelley, because I'm a psychologist, I use a lot of resources from SIOP, the Society for Industrial Organizational Psychology. So I pull from there, and then in some of the management journals, every now and then you'll find a really good article that walks through, how to teach the concept of organizational justice by having students, pretend to role play a manager supervisor situation. So but I'm trying to think of beyond case studies. The Stephen Farr, who's the VP of HR at Maryhurst, he's the person who teaches our HR class. And I know he uses a lot of case studies in that particular course. And then by the time the students get to my senior level org behavior class, I actually pair with an organization and we do a real world consulting project. So it's kind of like a live case study that we're doing this semester.
Awesome. Hi, Sam.
I'm a little late. I had another meeting. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just reviewed. Oh, you're good. I was just going to say I'm recording this, and I just reviewed the resources available on the website from SHRM, the case studies, the teaching manuals, the PowerPoints, and we were just talking about for those of the professors who use those teaching tools from SHRM, what do they use? And then if you're not using those, what do you use? So feel free to share.
Well, actually, I think maybe I've used in the past a couple of case studies from SHRM, but the textbook that I use for my HR course, for the introductory course, some other folks may be familiar with this, is by Raymond Knoll. So Knoll's book is structured around the SHRM body of knowledge. Yes. So everything's driven off that. So I can he has case studies built into the textbook, but sometimes they're a little dated. I know I just got the new edition. I guess it's just now coming out this week. And then I use the Wall Street Journal a lot. So I'm on every Friday morning, I get about 5 or 6 emails from them. Faculty can sign up for those for free. And it's a summary of, actually they take recent events and kind of convert them into a case study that you can use. Oh. And I find that those are not only relevant, but they're current. So, you can, and they also send along some potential questions with the case studies, but, sometimes I have to rework those a little bit, but it's a good summary of what's kind of going on. Like I said, those come out every week. They bombard your inbox every Friday morning. Depends on how many subjects you're up for. So,
do you have to be a subscriber to the Wall Street Journal to get that?
No, as faculty, you can sign up for free. Now, they would like for you to subscribe, and they would like for your students to subscribe. And actually, the subscription for academics and even students is very inexpensive. But and it's a wide range of topics. So let's see, I have one on legal. I've got HR and OB that are combined. I get one on ethics. And then I also do operational management. So, because I teach in that area as well. So, those are really, really good. And I have used those in class quite a bit.
Okay, cool. I didn't know they had that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So that's awesome. Sam, tell everybody what school you're from, because we did
I'm from Norfolk
introductions.
State University.
Okay.
Yeah, it's blue and yellow. Fridays you wear blue and yellow. So
Awesome.
that's why I have my, what's my office is called. So.
Oh, is it? We were talking about Lisa's son's out today, so that's good.
Yes. Yes.
What else do you all want to share that you use for teaching resources?
I've used just this semester, I've used a resource. It's called Safe Colleges. And so they have case studies on a variety of subjects. HR is one that they have, and then they've also put up some new stuff about COVID. But you can go in and I couldn't go in and see, but there was another person that could go in and see how the students were progressing. If they logged into the material, read it, they have little tests that go with it to check their knowledge. So this was my first time using it. It was okay. I'd probably maybe use it again for one of the projects, and then maybe, utilize some of the SHRM stuff also.
Awesome. Sam, I was going to say that book you were referencing that's based on the SHRM body of knowledge. I actually used that book to study. This was before SHRM had a certification, but I used it to study for my SPHR and it helped me pass. So if any of you all have students who want to sit for one of the exams, that book was right on, because the whole book is based on the body of knowledge. Are you going to show it to us?
Yeah, I was going to say, I just got the 9th edition this week. So
yeah.
He's really good. He's got 3 other authors now that are collaborating with him, but it used to just be Dr. Dahl. And I think I started with the 1st edition. So
yeah.
He changes these it seems like every 2 years he's coming out with a new edition. A lot of the material stays pretty much the same. He's really good about keeping up with new changes on the legal front, but he does update the case studies. That's one thing I like about his books. And then I think it's only been maybe just 4th, 5th edition, he actually started incorporating the entire SHRM body of knowledge. And he talks a lot about, or discusses the certification. So I know I always go over that in my courses with the students, because that's the first that many of them have ever even heard of SHRM. So that's something they're familiar with.
I have a copy of the 1st edition, and I think I have a signed copy of the 2nd edition.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty famous book. I wanted to also ask you all, for those of you who have curriculum aligned with SHRM's body of knowledge, does anybody not have that? Starla or Danielle, I can't see if does everybody on the call have SHRM aligned curriculum?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to have you all share. If you didn't, if you need help with that, or anybody on the call could share, but you all have SHRM aligned curriculum for your degrees. Danielle, okay, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't know that I really would have a need for it at this point.
Yeah,
just based on the limited.
You said you didn't have an HR major?
No.
Yeah. Starla, I don't think you all have an HR degree either, do you? Or?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
You could take some HR classes. Once again, 1st semester or 1st session teaching with Spalding. So still getting used to the curriculum and everything that they have. But I don't think so.
Okay. Very good. Anything else you all want to share? Maybe, I know later on this year, we're going to have a roundtable for faculty about like how you choose your textbooks, which ones you've felt are the best, things like that. But we're on the topic of that if you all want to share. You guys got quiet on me all of a sudden.
I use Dessler, and I've been very happy with it, and it's pretty well aligned with SHRM and refers to SHRM throughout. And it uses one case continuously, chapter to chapter, which students really like, and I think help provide continuity.
Awesome. I wanted to ask you all too, do you, for students who, you know, they can take the SHRM exam, the CP exam, within a year of graduation, as long as they have 1,000 hours of work experience in HR, which could be, you know, an internship for a semester. So, or is it 500 or 1,000? I can't remember.
It's 500.
500. Okay, I should have that memorized, shouldn't I? So I wanted to know how many of you, you know, prepare your students in one way or another to sit for that exam if they want to, and how do you do that?
Well, we at Murray State have got a semester individual study class that they can sign up for. And it's really just a prep class for taking either the HRCI or the SHRM exam. They can go both directions. And so that's just kind of a check that they can put in place at the very end. You know, they're encouraged not to take that until their last semester or so. I feel like, though, all of us that use the SHRM curriculum, if that's what we're using, we're doing a pretty good job of giving them the foundation. So,
right.
I would add, if you're looking for cases that faculty have developed and used that might be a different source for you, I've gotten several cases from the Business Education Innovation Journal, because it's all teaching, you know, it's all about teaching, and almost every issue I find a case that is worth reviewing, and I use several of them.
Cool. I only teach career classes, you know, like preparing for your job search. And so I hadn't heard of that. That's cool.
To go back to the resources on the SHRM website, I think, Shelley, have been updating those cases, because the case that I mentioned earlier, I can't seem to find on their website. So they may be updating those cases and changing out information. I'll have to look through my records to see if I can find the full instructor's manual in a digital copy, because it's not on the website. The case I mentioned for the different ways to stack selection measures. Right. I'll also say the Journal of Human Resource Education regularly publishes case studies and activities written by instructors. So that's a good resource. I've used a couple of their case studies and things over the years. Or if you have a case that you've written and you've used and you've had success with, and you've kind of tracked student success, I would encourage you to submit your work there, because it's a great way to get a publication as well as get your activity out there for other faculty to use. And so I've been fortunate enough, I think, to have 2 different activities published there, and it's been if you're spending all the time and effort to develop these case studies, or if you have those experiential learning exercises where you're consulting or whatever with other with the community or business, then that's a great way to put it out there and add a little tick in your scholarship column too. So
yeah, great idea. Get published while you're getting ready to teach. Awesome. Well, Starla, if you don't mind, I know you said you're in your first semester there, and was it you who said you had taught finance before? I think it was.
Yes.
Do you have questions for everybody here who's taught in Kentucky for a while, and, do you have questions for anybody, or can, maybe talking about the Louisville HR professionals or Louisville SHRM or, Kentucky in general, anything like that?
Yeah, is there I mean, I do think the program, I looked it up, and it does follow the SHRM curriculum.
Okay, great.
It's a bachelor's degree in business administration, but the emphasis is human resource management. So that's good. But is there a chapter of HRM professionals in Kentucky or Louisville? And is there a youth chapter? Because I know with financial planning, there's the, Financial Planning Association, and then schools can have their, collegiate chapters. So I don't know if that's the same with HR here in Kentucky.
Yeah, we have 2 local SHRM chapters. One is Louisville SHRM, and they have 500 to 600 members. The other one is Southern Indiana SHRM, because you might have students on the other side of the river, or you might want to visit that. It's a little bit smaller, but it's also a little bit more intimate, I guess, because they have fewer people attend. I think they have about 150 members, and I've been on both boards. I've been involved in both, and have been to meetings from both, and they're excellent resources. Right now, everybody's meeting on Zoom, and so that makes it convenient if you're, teaching. And I know that Southern Indiana SHRM, if you attend or you sign up for it, they have recordings, I think, that you can view later. So, so there are 2 professional chapters. Spalding doesn't have a student chapter, but there are other student chapters in the area, and I know that they welcome students from other schools. Elisa Lambert here from IU Southeast and U of L, Dr. Piasecki, I hope I said that right, Piasecki. They have one at U of L that just kind of got restarted, but they invite other students to attend. And another thing I want to share, and I'll show you all this in a minute, we have Kentucky SHRM I have every other Friday, I have student-based or student-centered HR meetings, because so many of the local chapters, and I know NKU has one, and Murray State has one. So there are several around the state. But right now, so many of them can't really have meetings because they can't have in-person speakers and things like that. And so I decided to try to help everybody out during COVID. At least every other Friday, we have a meeting that is, open to students and faculty across the state. So like last week, I did one on business etiquette and professional behaviors. I record all of them. And here, let me just go ahead and share my screen again, because that was something I was going to share with you all. Might as well do it now since I'm talking about it. So upcoming faculty summits, before I move into the student things. On Friday, the 14th of May, we have another one on finding guest speakers and finding the right textbook. We have one in August on teaching HR students about social justice. And then the last one of this year is current research in HR, in your own HR research and consulting projects. So talking about student events, some ones that are coming up, excuse me, next Friday, certifications and or graduate school, which is right for you. And then we have March the 12th, using LinkedIn Connect with employers, and then networking and volunteering to get noticed, communicating with confidence. I'm going to have one on social justice at work, know your worth, negotiating salary and benefits, and the list goes on. This is just for the next part of the year. So I have these, and we don't really have that much participation, and that's really sad to me. I guess I know Courtney shared with me last week that her students at Bellarmine were kind of shy to participate. But they don't have to be seen on camera. They don't have to say anything. This is for their benefit. And I do some of the presentations, and we have guest speakers for some. We had one in January that was hosted by a speaker from Elizabethtown who had been in the military, and it was on military to civilian transition for students who, maybe are, because we have a lot of them at U of L who were in the military, left the military, are now getting their degrees and, making that jump. So we had that topic. And then, I thought I had more. So if you go to the Kentucky SHRM website, and let me see again, I'll have to move hide the floating controls. So if you go to KentuckySHRM.org /college-relations, anyway, again, I'll be sending this out to everyone. We record all of our meetings. And so let me get up here again, stop share. We record everything and they're on there. And we've had topics like internships and networking, our mentoring. We have a mentoring program. Starla, maybe you weren't aware of that, but we have right now 22 students and 22 professionals who are matched for a mentoring program. So we try to do a lot to get things going statewide. So you don't have to be responsible for finding speakers and stuff for your student groups. So your students are welcome to participate in any of these things. We also have, Elisa, if you want to talk about the breakfast series, that would be great too.
I did post in the chat our next topic. It's so that student chapter at IUS, we run a breakfast series on the second Friday of every month from September to April. It's free for students and faculty of any institution. We're currently doing only Zoom. It's also for HR professionals, so they pay a registration fee and they earn credits towards maintaining their HR certifications. And our next breakfast series is next Friday starting at 8. And our topic is labor economics. So the speaker is one of our econ professors at IUS, and he's going to talk about big data related to labor economics and statistics. So I'm excited about it. I don't know that our students hear the word statistics and they're like, oh no, but he's been trying to do this talk for over a year now. We keep either having to cancel because of weather or get rescheduled due to COVID or whatever. So fingers crossed that third time will be the charm next Friday.
Yeah, and if you all are interested, on the Kentucky SHRM site where I was just talking about, I do, and Dr. Lambert is so kind to let me do this, but she lets me post, the whole schedule's there for the year. Plus, after the meeting, she lets me post the Zoom link. So if you all want to view any of those, you certainly can. And I think they can still get their credits. If they are certified, they can still get credits for looking at the Zoom.
You can, I think Ed Carpenter, who's the one that does our certification credits for us through SHRM, he clarified for me that we can't, I think the codes are good. Technically, the codes are only good for that day. But I think you have a window of time that they're still valid. But we'll probably have to take them down at the end of the series, end of the year, because the codes just won't. You can still view the material, but the codes won't work for recertification credits. Okay. I don't remember how long, but apparently if you put it up and you classify it as a webinar and you want to leave it up for a longer period of time, that's a different type of certification through SHRM and HRCI. So then they give you like a different code, or I don't know. SHRM volunteered to take over that part of the piece for me, so I stopped. Shelly was kind enough. She used to do get approval for our HRCI numbers, and I was doing the SHRM numbers, and Ed was like, well, we have to do all of that for us, so why don't we just take it over for you? I'm like, okay. So
sounds good.
I'm not as well versed in it as I used to be, since they've been doing it for us for the last few years.
Lisa, do you want to share what's going on at U of L? I know you all just kind of revamped your chapter and you're getting going again. Do you want to share what's going on there?
Yeah, I actually have a meeting shortly with the 2 students, and we're going to be planning out the spring semester activities, and talking a little bit more about that. So I don't have really any news to share on the events, but the student chapter got reactivated last year. And so we've got two really dynamic student leaders involved. And so I'm excited for what the potential is for that.
I was on mute, sorry. So Starla at Spalding, they don't have a student chapter. Would they be able to participate in U of L activities?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about sharing that information with my two students, and so that we can get your students involved. Starla, I'm the faculty advisor for the student chapter. So if you're on LinkedIn, I can check for you and put a connection request to you, and then I can share some information with you that way.
That would be perfect.
Okay.
Yep, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And Courtney, Courtney's at Bellarmine, and they're trying to maybe work with U of L. And I don't know, Lisa, if you were here yet when that conversation was going on. I think it was with Dr. Shuck and Dr. Hurd. But Courtney, do you want to kind of fill us in on where you all stand?
Sure. Yeah. So last year we were trying to reinstate the SHRM student chapter at Bellarmine, and we were running into some logistical issues. And SHRM's website not being updated, and there was talk about having a consortium chapter, but then I don't know if that ever really got much traction. And what we did is the students created a student-run RSO and got funding through Bellarmine to have their own club. So we have that going. They have it in the budget for the students to become SHRM members. We have Stephen Farr, who I mentioned as the head of HR at Maryhurst, and he has, as a SHRM member, has agreed to be the lead for that chapter if we wanted to open it. So we're still, I met with the students earlier this week, and Shelley was kind enough to join and kind of demystify some of the webinar opportunities for the students and just encourage them to participate. And I told them that it was up to them. It was their club and they had the money, and what did they want to spend it on? Did they want to try and start a consortium chapter? I think that one of the issues that we run into is that we're a small school. We don't have a lot of HR concentration majors, and there's a minimum of 8 members. You have to have 8 active members at any time to maintain that student chapter, and so it's very difficult for us to maintain that, being such a small group. So right now we have about 5 or 6 really active students who are running that student club, and who are looking at bringing in guest speakers, and same thing that you said, Lisa, like they're still kind of in the planning phase for what they want to do for the rest of the spring semester. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Okay, so yeah, I think those conversations probably happened before I joined the U of L faculty, but I'm so glad to hear that because we certainly would be happy to partner with the other schools and bring your students on board. I'm aware of the numbers, that number 8, because we've actually talked about that with our student chapter. So we were, I know we're reaching out. I think we have like 4 right now officers who are also SHRM members. So we need to expand that. But my meeting with the student leaders is in about an hour. So I will bring this up to them, and we'll definitely see how we can, keep you involved with our chapter and maybe build on that and see what we can do. So I did put my email in the chat, and I'll reach out, to you once I talk to the students.
Yeah, that would be great. I think especially for the small schools, just as much collaboration and for us to invite each other to events, and just, I keep telling the students, like, networking with HR students outside of Bellarmine is only going to be to your benefit, because these are going to be your future colleagues and your future network yourself once you graduate and you might become a member of SHRM. And so there's really not competition between schools, but it needs to be collaboration amongst them. And so, yeah, we've got a good group, Lisa. It sounds like you might have some really good, strong students too. So as much as we can collaborate, I'm really happy to do that.
A couple of things I'll share is that we used to have a consortium chapter, and that's when I was the actual advisor for it. It was called KYSHRM, and all of the Louisville area schools and the Southern Indiana schools, we were all part of one group. And Dr. Lambert was here, Elisa Lambert was here when that was going on. And so what we would do, because we didn't meet as a school, because we felt like, well, the Bellarmine students won't want to come to U of L and park, and the U of L students want, that whole thing. So what we did for our meetings was every month we would have a visit to a company, and we would have the HR person be the speaker. And hold on one second. Have a spam call coming in. So we would have a speaker who was the HR professional. Sometimes we would get a tour. We went places like Churchill Downs and Papa John's and Humana, and it was really good. And it lasted probably for about 5 years. And then the attendance kind of went down, and IUS decided it wanted to go back to being just a single chapter. And then U of L started a single chapter. So it kind of fell apart. But there for a while, it was working very well. So that's one thing. Another thing I will say is that, my background is HR. I worked for National SHRM for 17 years. I also am a career coach. If you all need a speaker, I'm happy to do that. If you just want me to, like I did with Courtney last week, if you want me to meet with your students, answer questions about, whatever it is they want to know, I'm happy to do that. I put on these things every other week for your students, but I'm happy if they're not comfortable doing something statewide, I'm happy to do it individually. So Terry, I know you have a student chapter at Murray.
We do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have asked this before and I haven't really gotten any feedback. If you all are having individual meetings for your student chapters, and you're willing to let anybody participate, it would be great if students from all the schools could, dial in. So, you might have 4 or 5 students on your calls, but maybe we could have 12 people on a call and share the love across the state. What do you all have going on there, Terry?
Well, we attempted to do meetings in the fall. It was difficult to try and get acclimated in the fall. So we did have some students, and myself as well, that tuned into some of Shelley's every other Friday events, which was very helpful. We're trying to kick off our Zoom meetings for this semester. And so we actually have our first meeting coming up this afternoon. And we're going to limit them to a meeting a month, and then utilize on the other Fridays the meetings that Shelley will be leading. So we're going to try and incorporate both. They will be via Zoom this semester, I'm sure, as everybody else is. So having that invite is easy, and I think I've got everyone's that's at least posted the email information, so I can share what those Zoom links are. We definitely would welcome any visitors that wanted to come and participate. So I'll put something together and get out there so you guys will know topics and dates.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Sam, now, do you all have a student chapter? Or it's maybe active?
Well, we have a club, and that's why I was going to jump in, but sounds like folks are doing something very, very similar. I had a question about creating a chapter with, I guess, within one of the professional chapters, because what I see is some of the smaller, it's not necessarily, it depends on what your track is. Like at Moorhead, we do not have a HR track. The HR courses, the fundamentals course is required of all business students. So I get to see everybody. And then everything else is elective, my labor relations course, training and development, everything else. So it's really difficult to try to get 8 students. Right now I've got 5. And what we did last semester, and we'll probably do that again this semester, is we actually collaborated with UK. They did not have 8 students, but they have a club. They have an HR club. And right now, EKU is, theirs has been disbanded because of COVID. But we found that using Zoom, it was interesting. I thought it worked really well. We would have the UK students and MSU students, they would all be on the same call. Now we would schedule those, late in the afternoon, 5, 6 o'clock. But that's been, we've had some discussion here about having an official SHRM student chapter, but it's like, can we maintain that 8? So I wonder, if SHRM had ever thought about having some type of prorate based on student population or something within a college of business. Your larger colleges, U of L, or, I'm even thinking of Ohio State or somewhere, that should be fairly easy to get 8 students. But when you're at a University of Pikeville or something where there's maybe only 152, I don't know how many students they have in their business program right now, that may be difficult. Unless you have a track in HR. And actually, like at Georgetown, I believe they were going to develop a track just in HR.
Yeah, that's a problem all the schools have, is getting that 8, which is why we ended up with the consortium chapter. Mike, were you going to say something?
Yes, we had a similar problem, and then a few years ago, we went to a model that has really worked for us before COVID, and we'll resume it probably in the fall. And that is, we have an HR capstone course, and we average about 15 to 20 students in there. And what we do is that they join SHRM, and we have the meeting right after class. And I schedule that class from 3:30 to 4:45, so we can get HR speakers to come for the SHRM meeting. And the students are already there, and they really like that model. And we provide pizza and Coke, and that way we get good attendance, and we don't have a problem, even though we have a relatively small chapter. That works well to get enough students that we don't have that problem of getting 8.
Yeah, I was going to share, and I thought she was going to be on this call. There's a woman who teaches at McKendree University, and I used to speak in her class every semester. She would have me come and visit. One thing she did, and I don't know how this works exactly, but it was like an add-on fee. Student membership in SHRM is, I think, $40 or $45, but she had it as an additional fee for the class, so that every student in her class became a SHRM member because they enrolled, and that she used the HR magazine because the students would all receive it as a member. She had all of their assignments as things out of HR magazine, so that they would, and on the SHRM website. So they had to get used to what the benefits of SHRM membership would be, so that when they graduated, they were already used to searching online for information, using the magazine for information. So she kind of wrapped her whole class around getting them acclimated to using SHRM resources. I thought that was really good. I was hoping she was going to be on the call today to share that. But Mike, you all have two student groups. I think the graduate chapter is active and the undergraduate chapter is inactive, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that happened because our faculty advisor retired, and then COVID came in, and so we will reactivate it. We'll be looking for a new faculty member for the fall, and that'll be that person's responsibility.
Okay. It looks like maybe Starla is going to get some adjunct opportunities at NKU. That's exciting. That's a good reason to come together today, huh? Well, I'm
open and new to Kentucky. As I said, I've been here for probably less than 2 years, probably 1.5 years.
Yeah. Well, I hope you'll get involved with the Louisville chapter. It'd be really helpful for you to meet some HR professionals from around the area. So we have until 11:30 on the calendar, but it's almost 11, and I don't know if you all have more that you want to talk about. This has been really great. And I hope that you all will, I'm going to put my email here. It's shellytrent@live.com. I hope that you all will share your events with me so that we can have students from other schools participate. Because I know for me, if I hold an event and I only have 5 students on the call, it's kind of disappointing. And I'm like, you know, this could have been shared far and wide. And, you know, I say the more the merrier if we can share learning. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about or say? And so you all know too, Sam is actually on the Lexington chapter board as the college relations person, and there was a consortium chapter in Lexington for Transylvania, UK, Georgetown, seems like another one. I think that one's defunct. Eastern was the other one.
Yeah, Eastern was part of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. I think this has been really helpful, good sharing. Next, I'm having eye surgery on Tuesday. I'm hoping I'm okay by Friday to do the presentation that I said I would do. I might be wearing dark glasses, but we will have a program next Friday if I can handle it.
Good luck with that.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for being with us, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Sam, which campus are you? Are you at Moorhead or Murray?
He's at Moorhead.
Moorhead.
I'm sorry.
Are you in the Combs building, Sam?
I am in the Combs building. Yes.
I recognize the windows behind you there. I was at Moorhead for a few years. I was dean of the college. Is Peggy still in the dean's office?
Peggy Osborne?
Peggy Breeze.
Peggy Breeze. Peggy Breeze is still upstairs on the 3rd floor.
Please tell her I said hello. Yeah.
I will do that. Yeah, I'll probably see her here shortly. I'm getting messages from the dean to talk to me, so that's probably ours. You would know our environment here is maybe a little different than some other universities. It's pretty. You never know who's going to stick your head in their door, even with everything that's going on. So I keep looking at the door. But yeah, I'm in the Combs building.
I recognized it.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, have a good weekend.
Bye, everybody.
All right.